Imagine just barely missing a shooting. Well, that's what happened to me yesterday. Greetings, fellow Earthlings and viewers across the World Wide Web. This is Tune 215. And right now we're in the state of Pennsylvania. We're currently in the city of Philadelphia. Today we're going to be doing a 4K nighttime drive through the FAIRHILL Hood here in North Philadelphia. FAIRHILL also was coined the name Badlands. It's one of the original neighborhoods that was first given the name Badlands. So FAIRHILL originally consisted of German immigrants. Today, FAIRHILL is primarily Hispanic. 80.2% of the residents are Hispanic. 15.1% are non-Hispanic Black, 2.3% Hispanic White, 1.4% Asian, and 1% all other. We're at the intersection of Cambria and 7th Street, passing La Linda Grocery on our right. This is a residential neighborhood. We have row homes on our right-hand side. We have empty lots on our left-hand side. Many of these lots back in the day housed homes, and a lot of them got leveled out. We're traveling about 14 miles an hour. We're coming to a stop here at Indiana Avenue. We're at 7th and Indiana. We're going to continue traveling northbound on 7th Street. So this neighborhood is mainly made up of Puerto Ricans, but there are Dominicans and a lot of other Hispanics in the area, but it's primarily Puerto Ricans. This is almost like little Puerto Rico. When people come from Puerto Rico to move to Philly, they come to this neighborhood. It has the highest concentration of Puerto Ricans. And you can tell by sometimes how a lot of the houses are painted up and designed, very similar to how they do their homes in Puerto Rico. We have a rest in peace memorial on my right-hand side in loving memory of Mandingo. New Hong Kong Chinese on our right-hand side. We're at Clearfield. We're approaching Allegheny Avenue. We're gonna make a left coming up on Allegheny Avenue. We're gonna travel northbound, southbound for the duration of this virtual video. I do have a vehicle behind me, so I do apologize about speeding up to about 15 miles per hour. Let's make this left-hand turn on Allegheny Avenue. We're now traveling westbound on Allegheny Avenue. Let's make this left-hand turn on Franklin Street. I'm going to allow this older woman to cross the street. The pedestrian has the right of way. Even though they see a person in front of me, they beeped at me. Incredible. I guess they wanted you to hit and run. So there are 2 crime novels written about this neighborhood by 2 separate ex-residents and gang leaders. You have Steve Lopez's novel called 3rd in Indiana. His book made the intersection known. But technically speaking, I'll be completely honest with you guys, every time I do a FAIRHILL video, I've documented probably over 20 plus FAIRHILL videos over the last 4 years. This is one of the only areas where I have many random viewers across the World Wide Web visit my channel, watch the FAIRHILL video. We're on Franklin and Clearfield. And they say, yo, Tune, I used to cop on this block back in the day. Yo, Tune, they used to have that good stuff on this block. This is literally one of the only neighborhoods that I get those type of comments. You have people who used to run these streets back in the day to purchase substances. And yeah, that's absolutely amazing. This is also one of the biggest open air drug markets. It's a mutual consensus. The neighborhood residents know, everybody knows who does what. Nobody just says nothing because, you know, you better be safe than sorry. Speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil. We're at Indiana Avenue, Franklin and Indiana Avenue. Now, the other book was written by a man that goes by the name Joey Perez. His book was called I Live to Tell About It. It's a paperback book. It was released on January 1st, 2000. You can get both these books from Amazon or online. I've actually read Joey Perez's I've Lived to Tell About It. That was one of the only books in my lifetime, especially in my younger years, that I was able to read in a short period of time because it engaged me into the novel. I guess since it's about my neighborhood and the city I grew up in, it was very interesting and intriguing to hear a lot of these stories from Joey and hear his point of view of North Philadelphia back in the day. Now, a little bit about Joey. Joey was an ex-gang leader, ladies and gentlemen, here in North Philadelphia. We got La Margaritas on our left, Las Margaritas grocery store. So what he does is he tells the story about how he lived a life of violence and crime as a gang leader and as a notorious drug dealer in the city of Philadelphia. The city has now dramatically changed, and guess what? He has changed also because he's a pastor. We have the old Edison in front of us. This is the old Edison High School. Now they call it Edison 64 Veterans Community. It was closed for many years, and then they rehabilitated recently within the last, I would say, half a decade, and they brought it back to life. Now they're using it. So we can travel forward a handful of blocks and still be in the FAIRHILL neighborhood. Same goes left. We're traveling west right now. We're gonna make this right-hand turn, and then we're going to travel northbound. Some crime stats in this neighborhood look like total crime is 260% above the national average. Make note that areavibes.com rates this neighborhood an F. It receives an F rating based on crime. Violent crime is 313% above the national average. Property crime is 250% above the national average. This is an area where shootings happen regularly, fights, all sorts of activities that you may not see in more prominent areas, they go down here regularly. I'm talking about like on a 24-hour basis. We're passing Birch. We have a pothole right here, so I'm gonna go over it very slowly. I accidentally pulled out I had a large key. It was a dangling keychain that was making too much noise. I yanked it and I accidentally turned the vehicle off. So we were rolling on neutral for a few seconds before I cranked it back on. I apologize. It was annoying hearing just a little tapping sound. So key findings show that in FAIRHILL, you have a 1 in 12 chance of becoming a victim of crime. Now, for the most part, this is an area where, as long as you don't bother anybody, you mind your business, you don't bring bad energy with you, you're in good shape. This corner right here was actually on a British Broadcasting Network documentary about the Badlands. Here, they shot a segment right here. And actually, I have family that lives on this block. My mom back in the day used to live on the right-hand side. One of those houses with all of the Christmas lights. Yeah. I wasn't raised with my mom, but when I did used to visit my mom and sleep over when I was a youngster, this is one of the blocks that I used to come visit. We have Seven Brothers Mini Market on our left. We're at 8th and Allegheny Avenue. I'm gonna make this left-hand turn. We're gonna turn left on Darien Street, North Darien. There's a mural in this neighborhood of a police officer who lost his life on duty back in the day in this area. Now, as of most recently, we can go over a handful of shootings that took place. There was a teen killed in a barrage of gunfire in the FAIRHILL neighborhood. 80 shots were fired, and police found a 17-year-old suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the body, and they rushed him to the Temple Hospital where he was pronounced deceased. On August 2nd, 2022, officers found a 32-year-old man lying on the sidewalk suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to his back and leg. November 1st, 2022. Halloween night shootings leave 3 people dead in Philly. We're going to continue traveling up Darien. No, matter of fact, I'm going to make this left-hand turn just because I want to take you guys past 5th Street. Past 5th Street is one of the well-known areas, especially related to the book. We're just past 8th Street. We're approaching Franklin. Now, 24 hours ago, a man was shot multiple times and he was killed in FAIRHILL. The most intriguing thing about this is we missed that by seconds, and I'll explain it shortly. The shooting happened at the intersection of Hancock and Lippincott Streets, which is not far from here. Minutes. I'm talking about 2.5, 3 minutes away from here, depending on traffic. We're at 7th and Clearfield. We're going to continue moving forward. A lot of these blocks have notorious reputations for being hotspots back in the day. Some of them still are active. La Dominicana grocery store on our left. So we have a vehicle double parked in front of us. I don't know what's the deal exactly. I don't know if it's like an Uber. Nowadays, you don't know who's who, because now a lot of people are doing Uber and Lyft. And what do they need to do for Uber and Lyft? They need to double park. A lot of the time, most of them double park. They don't need to double park. It would be courteous if they park up, but a lot of them just stay in the street until the client comes out. We're passing Wendell Street. We're approaching 6th Street. There was a man gunned down right here on my left-hand side at this bar. He was gunned down outside and it was captured on camera. It's still on the Philadelphia Police YouTube. You can visit the Philadelphia Police Department YouTube. And it's one of their earlier uploads, and it happened right here on this corner. So, speaking about that situation yesterday, right? So, I went to the bank. I went to make a small deposit, and I put some bills into the deposit machine. We're passing 6th Street. And upon putting in the bills, you know how the machine rejects a bill? Well, it rejected one of my bills. So I thought that was interesting. I'm like, oh, that's strange. And it was because the bill was folded. There was like a fold at the end of the bill. So while I took the bill out, I'm like, oh man, because I was kind of like on a time frame. So I'm like, oh man, this is going to set me back. I wonder how this is going to set me back. But then I always like to think, check out that point 8 on my right hand side. Pretty. That's nice. So I always like to think like everything happens for a reason. So if it pushed me 2 minutes behind, then, you know, I was thinking like, well, wonder what luck am I going to run into? Or wonder what am I going to avoid? Would it be a car accident? Would it be this? Would it be that? That's just the stuff that was going through my head while I was at the ATM machine, right? So I didn't think nothing of it. I just took it with a grain of salt. We're passing 5th Street right now. This is a really, really notorious area right here. This is where the books were based on. This whole little quadrant right here. Let's make this right on Orkney. So I took it with a grain of salt. I didn't think twice about it. I'm like, all right then. So maybe it's not that serious. So when we left the bank, we drove, I believe like seconds into pulling out of the bank lot, my wife receives a notification on her Citizens app, which notifies residents of the Philadelphia area of crimes that are happening with them or happening within a certain vicinity of where they live within a 24-hour period. It basically keeps you updated at all times and sends you notifications right after the crime happens. So it said shooting, and it said the intersection, and I'm like, oh, that's right around the corner. I had told her, I said, that's right around the corner. I know exactly what I said. It was like 3 blocks away. So that's where we were going to drive through too. We was going to drive through there. So literally, the shooting happened right before we were going to go through that area. And because that bill was folded, that could have potentially saved us from either stray bullets, that could have probably saved us from even maybe the getaway car running into us, you know what I mean? So I thought that was like surreal. And that's not the only time. Yo, there's a fire on my right hand side, bro. Yo, they G with it. They got a fire out here in a lot. How you like those apples, Kansas? Yo, a rat ran across the street. Yo, there's rats on my left hand side. You see the dude? Yo, you see the dude pointing at the rat and he jumped? Yo, there's more rats on my right. Yo, what's up with all these rats? Yo, they out here on the block watching too. Yo, this is a hot block and they out here and they got the rats out. I mean, I don't think you want to really be opening up shop with rats. You know what I mean? But yo, y'all witnessed it first on Tune 215. 3 rats made a guy jump. Yo, look at that cat on my right. Why that cat look so skinny? Does he have an agreement with the rats? My guy, there's food right up the block. The rat's scared. Rat's running. He's like, no. That was 3 rats. That wasn't 1. That was 3 rats. They gonna jump me. But that goes to show you guys, like, that's incredible. So yeah, I thought that was very, very interesting how, and it didn't register until I learned about it. And we drove by the crime scene and it was tons of caution tape, tons of cops, and yeah, it literally just happened. I was like, man, like, who knew? Sometimes when something like that happens, guys, just take it with a grain of salt and keep moving forward. Just know everything's gonna work out. We're passing Lawrence Street. We got a police camera on the left-hand side. There's vehicles behind me. We're at 4th and Cambria. I'm gonna go around the block one more time so you guys can see where these novels were written at during the nighttime. If you're a familiar of the channel and you regularly watch, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching. If you're a familiar of the channel, then you know exactly these novels I'm talking about. You have an idea of this location. I've covered this area quite a lot. We're at 3rd and Cambria, but I always try to bring it upon the attention of the new viewer because you never know if a new viewer likes to read books, if a new viewer wants to learn more about the area. This is all public information. You can Google all this stuff. You can go on Wikipedia. You can learn a lot about this area. You know, they just put the speed bump here. Hold on, wait. Ouch. So actually coming up on the left-hand side, upon me completing the 48-state cross-country trip, I believe the same week or month that we got back, there was a collapsed building right here on my left-hand side. It was a little chicken spot. It was a restaurant. It's been several different businesses, including a Chinese store. But I think most recently it was a chicken spot. You see this lot on my left, big empty lot? There's a memorial right there for a fire department inspector. The building, yeah, they got fire trucks and everything out there for them, like little miniature fire trucks. Let's make this left. This is Indiana, 3rd and Indiana. One of the novels was written about this corner right here. So I believe Steve's novel was written about this corner. Oh my gosh, this is a horrible hole. Okay, I had to go through it. Yeah, so one of the novels was written about this corner, which is a really, really poppin' area for North Philadelphia. And then the other novel was written about this area, 4th and Indiana. So I'm sure both of those guys probably knew each other, knew of each other. You know, they both happened to write novels within a 10 period span of each other. I think Steve's novel came out first in the 90s, and then Joey's came out in the early 2000s, the year 2000. This corner on my left-hand side sees plenty of shootings. As of several months ago, there was 2 televised shootings here that were documented on the camera. I'm gonna make this left. Right here at this bar, this beer distributor, there's one where a dude jumps out of a vehicle. He runs up to somebody, starts a little fight, and then his homie pulls out a gun and they start shooting on him. They start shooting at the guy they were fighting. And then there's another one that's like GTA West Coast, California, Compton style, where it's a black vehicular device, tinted out, and somebody rolls down the back window and they're hanging out ski masked up and they're just bussing. They're shooting their firearm out of the back window while the vehicle is moving, drive-by style. And it was also documented, and I don't ever think they found any of those individuals because most people were masked up. So if there's no face, there's no trace. So the Philadelphia Inquirer reported, here's one of the incidents that happen around here. 6 shot in this neighborhood, including a 14-year-old boy in the FAIRHILL neighborhood. I've lost a handful of people in this neighborhood, including my family members too. I had an uncle get gunned down about 2 minutes to our left on Cambria. We're on Lawrence and Cambria, where he passed away on Howard and Cambria, which is a couple blocks up. Then I had friends that got gunned down in here. I had friends that got shot in this neighborhood and lived. Shout out the band, Nieko, that he was able to live and tell about his story. Nothing to be proud of, but you know, this kid was involved in a shooting himself. And he lost the person he got shot with. He got shot with an older man, one of his older friends in his, I think, 40s. And he didn't make it. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. His buddy's name, I believe, was Omar. So when he had his first child, which happened to be a boy, shortly after Omar passed away, he named his first child Omar, after his friend that passed away. All right, we're passing 3rd Street. We're gonna continue moving forward. We're traveling eastbound on Cambria. Now again, there's more blocks on my right I could have went through, more blocks on my left. You could get really detailed and try to get through all the little tiny blocks, but I'm trying to take you guys to some well-known areas. We're passing American Street, American and Cambria, which is in a light industrial sector here in this residential neighborhood. American Street runs through several neighborhoods, but in this area it runs through FAIRHILL, West Kensington, North Square, Old Kensington, and so on. We're at 2nd and Cambria. There was somebody gunned down on my right-hand side in a SUV. He was found shot dead, and there was no witness, no nothing, no. Basically, they just found him shot dead. There was no cameras or nothing. We're passing Palethorpe, so I believe that's another unsolved murder. We're at Hancock and Cambria. Shout out the whole Hancock and Cambria posse, HCP, to all the homies, and even the OGs like Eddie Rivera. Shout out, dog. We're passing Mutter Street. There's always shootings on my right-hand side, right here before you get to Masher. They've been caught on numerous CCTV videos. We have the Philadelphia Fire Department Engine 25 in front of us, acting fast. Yeah, a lot of people lost their lives on these corners, on our left and on our right. And I'm talking about every corner. Left side, right side, the next block, this little block, Waterloo, left side. My uncle that I mentioned who passed away right here on Howard and Cambria. There's also been younger men that got shot on this corner on my left-hand side on Howard. Right here next to the store, there was a few rest in peace memorials there. Rest in peace memorials usually last anywhere from months to a few years. Very rarely do they span multiple years. Let's make this right-hand turn on Hope Street. Hope Street, this is a block where I've had even family members. I've had a family member who was on America's Most Wanted. And this was back in the 80s. And this is one of the blocks that they used to conduct activity on. My uncles used to tell me stories, like back in the day when they used to run the block, they had dozens of vehicles. They had, for example, back in the day, the attire would be like Kango hats, Adidas tracksuit, and maybe some shell tops. So when the police would tell them to move off of a corner, he would go to his trunk, Toyota Corolla, maybe an RX-7, RX-3 or something of that nature. And in the trunk, he would have multiple colored suits and multiple hats and different sneaks, so he can go change up, come back out, and continue hustling. And this was one of the blocks where you see how that guy's on my left, just like that. Back in the day, it was people positioned on my left and on my right at all times. Like, you couldn't go through this block without people screaming out, "Candy, candy." And that's not the technical term, but we're not gonna, mention what was actually sold out here. But let's just say it was a very, very busy area in its prime time. And I'm sure I got viewers that, like I said earlier, used to cop from this block, from a lot of these blocks that we drove through. They used to purchase their product here. Now, what's funny is, remember all these stories I'm telling you in this, that, and the third? Look what they're making on my right-hand side. You see that giant cube? That's a brand new set of homes. I promise you, those homes will sell for $390,000, $400,000 each. You're asking yourself, but why, Tune? You got little $40,000, $50,000 houses next to it. That's just how it works. They're trying to gentrify the area, and they've been gentrifying West Kensington. That's been done. East Kensington has been gentrified. And then you have FAIRHILL, which is right next to both of those. Old Kensington's been gentrified 20 years ago. They're still working upper north. This is north of West Kensington. Right in front of us is West Kensington. We're on Lehigh Avenue. I'm gonna make this left on Lehigh Avenue. I'm gonna come into this gas station because this gas station usually has a lot of interesting activity. Again, it varies from year to year. Sometimes you come out here, there's a dozen individuals out here, and you would come here and you would try to pump your gas and they would scream, subs, subs, or whatever. Yeah, we just scratched the ground because this thing is so low. So this gas station has new owners also, has a different set of owners. A Chinese couple used to own it, and I believe they sold it, and now I see several Indian gentlemen in there. So I guess they're the new owners. We're passing Sterner. We're on Front and Sterner. We have the 100 block of Silver Street on our right-hand side. We're passing Seltzer. We have a pawn shop on our left. That pawn shop was really popping in its heyday, because imagine people wanted to supply their substance. We're on Front of Somerset. They would take items from wherever they can get their items. There's police on my right. Whoa, there's a whole bunch of police on my right. Bet. We're gonna go around the corner because that's exactly where I was gonna go. Yeah, so that is very interesting that pawn shops are able to thrive off of people's misery. We're gonna go up about one block and then make a right. I could make a right here on Cambria, but I'm gonna go up a block. I've seen a four-wheeler get stolen right here on my left side, middle of damn near like dust. Oh, what's that, a shooting? Maybe we should pull up Citizens app and take a look at it. There's a bunch of cops on my right. There was also, all right, so there was never a stop sign here on my left. The only reason why they installed a stop sign was because a woman was ran over. She was hit and killed. So the police, they just came from this way because they're investigating a crime scene. So look at the tracks on my left-hand side. These tracks on my left-hand side used to house a lot of substance abusers, and still to this day, you might find people straddling along down there in the train tracks. Okay. So the block on my right, I could have went there, but I'm gonna take it down a block further. All right, we're passing Water Street, as in high quality H2O. Now we're approaching Swanson. I had a cousin get killed on this block. His name was Marcus. He got shot in the head. Long story short, he was probably doing something he should. Look, somebody's jumping the gate on my left. It goes to show you, man. I said you can find people straddling. Yo, there's a fire right here. I wasn't gonna go straight. I was gonna turn on A Street, but we can go one more block forward so y'all can see this fire. Like, it's real out here, y'all. They straight up set a fire. And the crazy thing is that the fires get reported on Citizens app. You seen that? Wow, they're trying to stay warm. I mean, I understand, I understand that it's cold out here, so you got to do everything you can to stay warm. This little bridge on my left, you see that blue bridge on my left? That blue bridge would take you to Rocky's home. This is Gurney Street. We're going to turn on Somerset, though. We're going to turn right here. But that blue bridge, Rocky ran over in the movie, so you can actually see that bridge. And I've drove over it several times on tours to show you guys. I'm not going to go over it right this second, but let's go over here and see what this cop situation is about. We'll pretend like we don't see them. We'll get close to them. If they tell us to reverse, oops, we'll reverse. That's it. We're at A in Somerset. They don't have the lights on right now, so that's an excuse for us to go. Even though we know something happened. But let's see what happened. Let's see what's popping over here. So there's a bunch of cops out here. There's cars in the middle of the street. Look, they're building brand new houses right here on my left. Guys, this is amazing because they're building brand new houses in a war zone. Okay, I'm gonna slow down here just because I don't want to go through these potholes in front of us. But as you guys see, there is cops right there in front of us. So I'm gonna reverse just because there's a rest in peace memorial right here on my right hand side. There's a box. So they made a little wooden box, and they put candles in the box and teddy bears and all that stuff. Some people will come sign it and all of that. Matter of fact, Swanson. Where's Swanson? Swanson's right here. This is the block that my cousin Marcus died on. Marcus used to drive the Chili Willy ice cream truck here in Philadelphia, North Philadelphia. He was young. I think he passed away in his early 20s. And this is the block that he got killed on. And the crazy part is he tried to run from the shooting. And he got into the house, and I was told that when he closed the door, that the bullet went through the door and got him in his head. Yeah, Marcus, the Chili Willy ice cream driver. He was probably the most hoodest, coolest driver. He would always hook you up. You know, he used to distribute Mary Jane through the ice cream truck on occasion. There's, you see the sneakers up top? You see the Jordans, the Air Max and all that hanging off of the street line. Now, these are really hood blocks. Like, these are truly some of the grimy areas of North Philly. There's a abandoned house on our left. Now, I don't want to give you the prejudiced assumption where you think that all of North Philly is bad or all of Fair Hill is bad. There's a lot of working people in this neighborhood. There's a lot of people who still attend school, who are nurses, who are employed and doing their thing. But then there's a fair share of people who are out and about. So we're approaching A Street. This neighborhood receives an F rating when it comes to employment based on areavibes.com. An F rating. So income is 64% below the national average. Let's make this left-hand turn on Ella. We have a rest in peace memorial of Mexican Rob on my right-hand side. I guess you can say he was another head honcho in the area. Ever since I knew of him, he always got money. He was always a smiler, always real. He was a happy soul from what I appeared from afar. From what I noticed, what it appeared to be from the outside from afar. He always was laughing, always was joking, always had a good humor, good spirit, but he was also killed. He was killed at the South Philadelphia races. You know, illegal races when people go to meet at night to race. Well, he was shot during the races, and it was televised. It's on YouTube, which is sad. I believe the video might still be on YouTube. You don't see him get shot, but it was during the shootout. You see everybody running, disperse, and it was during the races. Yeah, South Philly. So this park on my left-hand side, you guys know how Kensington looks with everybody laying outside and tents and shooting up and all that stuff. This park on my left-hand side was one of the epicenters as of 6-7 years ago, where people used to come here and get high right here next to this park. They ended up coming here so much that they put these fences up. There wasn't no fences here, but they put the fences. Look at another fire on my left. But they put the fences there. Let's make this right-hand turn. Now, this neighborhood is ex-home of the famous Philadelphia YouTuber named Brap Vlogs. I believe BRAAP Vlogs, something of that nature. He his name is Angel, and I worked with him in his earlier years when he was 15 years old, before he started his YouTube content creation journey. He was a good kid. Shot a whole episode about him. He rode dirt bikes really well, still does to this day. And he capitalized on a wonderful market, and he, put his skill out there. People loved him, loved his personality. I believe he's over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and he's probably in his early 20s right now. And I believe he moved to LA and then went to Florida. But that's just to show you that he came from this hood, and he's doing really well for himself. So congratulations to that young man. This was his block right here. We're on the 200 block of Elkhart. Him and his little brother, Fatty, they were both residents of this block. I don't think they no longer live here. At least I hope they don't. I think he moved his mom out the hood, moved his family out the hood, and now they're doing good. But that's a little testimony that, you can come from the hood and you can still make something out of yourself. You got some Christmas decorations directly in front of us. You can see Santa Claus, snowman. They got some creepy looking ones on the left. That's cool. It's pretty nice. Some pretty nice decorations. Now we're like, I would say a block away from the border of Kensington. So North Kensington, known as Upper Kensington, where all of the opioid activities taking place, that's 4 minutes up the road. If we take this street, Clearfield, about 15, maybe not less than that, 10 blocks forward, we'll be right where all the activities are. So that's how close these neighborhoods. So I don't know if that has any correlation, you know, knowing that this was the original OG. FAIRHILL was the original OG open air market. And then nowadays, Kensington is coined the biggest open air market in America. Let's make a left-hand turn on Lippincott. Matter of fact, where the young man lost his life, the one that I was talking about earlier, that I avoided yesterday, is right up the block. So we might as well pass it because we're like right up the block from where it happened at. Now, the Philadelphia Badlands is a section of North Philadelphia and lower Northeast Philadelphia, right? That is known for an open air abundance of drug markets and drug-related violence. Now, some people would beg to differ on what neighborhoods are included in the boundaries. I say the true OG areas of the Badlands would consist of FAIRHILL, first and foremost. And then I believe we can tie in Glenwood. Glenwood is directly next to it it's separated via Germantown Avenue. I'm gonna allow this person to go by. Go ahead, you're more than welcome to go by, buddy. Let's pass A Street. There's cop cameras on a lot of these corners. If you take a look at the street lights, or the street signs, I should say, on the top next to the pole, you'll see the little white cameras, which is the eye in the sky. But there are several neighborhoods that are now in 2022 and within the last 2 decades, and who knows how long further than that, are now all which term would we use? There are several neighborhoods that make up Badlands nowadays. Neighborhoods like Hunting Park, Harrogate, Stanton, North Central, West Kensington, Hartranft, and Kensington, as well as FAIRHILL and Glenwood. But FAIRHILL and Glenwood are the first 2 that come up on the list. Then Hunting Park, which is fair because that's connected to the FAIRHILL neighborhood, so that makes sense. Then Harrogate somewhat makes sense too because it's right next to Kensington. Harrogate and Kensington share the same boundaries, or border, I should say. Then you got Stanton and North Central. Stanton and North Central are closer to Center City, which is, yeah, surprising that you got trouble that close to Center City. All right, we're on Howard. Let's continue moving forward. Howard and Lippincott. We're coming up to the crime scene that happened yesterday, about 22 hours ago. These several neighborhoods I'm still beating myself up over that poor grammar. I'm beating myself up. Sometimes my brain goes on a brain fart. Go ahead. I was letting you go, bro. Go ahead. I was really letting them go, and they wanted to play like, you know, you go. No, you go. Then when I went, then they went. Then it's like, no, well, you go. Like, no, just go, bro. So right here on Hancock. This is where the crime scene, and this is where it took place at. And there's a rest in peace memorial right on this corner that's been there for years. I remember that being there for years. The box is still there. But let me see if they put a new memorial out here for whoever got gunned down yesterday. No, I don't see no memorial. Ouch. But this is where it happened at, and that's incredible. You know what I mean? That it's like you can literally just miss a place and just miss a crime scene. All right, let's make this left-hand turn on 2nd Street. We're gonna turn left, travel southbound on 2nd Street. Let me wait because there's traffic coming on my right. I just wanna be cautious. All right, cool, we're in. We got an abandoned, what was once an abandoned factory on my right-hand side. They renamed it the La Placita. And they do like, well, they were supposed to do like a farmer's market kind of thing, but Hispanic driven. A lot of Hispanic jewelry, tables and antiques and used stuff and collectibles, but I don't know how far that went. We're on Clearfield. We got a scrapyard on my right-hand side. So you have a lot of people walking this neighborhood, as well as many other neighborhoods in North Philadelphia, with a shopping cart, collecting cans, collecting metal, whatever they find in the trash that's metal, they would collect it, and then they would take it right here or to many other scrap yards to change that for cash. Whether they get food or they supply their habit, they pay their bills, I don't know what they up to, but that definitely does take place on a regular basis. All right, let's continue moving forward. We're traveling eastbound. Eastbound. I do apologize, eastbound. Passing Waterloo. Now we're passing Howard. Now we're passing Hope Street. Hope Street. Cop cameras on my left-hand side. And that's because there's been shootings here on a handful of occasions. Matter of fact, here's another story. There was a shooting here. I literally walked by, rest in peace with my buddy Walt. We walked by it. We were traveling left to right. So imagine that. So we went right. We went up this block. When we got to the next corner, right here on this corner, we heard pop, 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 pop. And we was like, yo, we was just on that corner. So again, we missed it by a block. We just passed Lee Street. Now we're passing Water Street. Let's make this right on Swanson, and then we're gonna come down Water Street. We got cops right here on my left-hand side, stationed in the lot, creeping. Let's make this right. This is Swanson Food Market. There's a house that appears to be available on my right-hand side, 3058 Swanson Street, Philadelphia, PA. In case you guys wanna see what property values are going for in this neighborhood. As you can see, it's only one-sided parking. So if you have multiple cars, or I think in this case, if each and every single house on this block has a car, I don't believe they'll all fit on the block. Because what is it, like 22, I don't know, I haven't took count, 20-something houses per side, that's 40-something houses per block. It only looked like we passed like 20 cars. Let's make this right-hand turn. Let's make a right hand on Water. This is Water Street. And again, cop cameras up top. Those cop cameras usually get placed on areas with high violence. A lot of shootings, they basically, because back in the day, they would station the big, large RVs, the cop RVs in like really troubled areas, kind of like the stakeout RV. But I don't really see them do that anymore. They might have a unit, like a trooper, or not a trooper, but an officer, a paddy wagon, a car, an SUV or something stationed on a corner, but they rarely bring out the RV anymore. But believe it or not, you guys hear that this neighborhood was a rough area, right? And still is. There was a police station stationed in this area for many years. Yep, we could pass it because we're right around the corner from it. So we'll top this off with passing that police station, which I did document. I did actually get into it. When it was abandoned, I was able to get into it, and it's on my channel. I was able to walk inside the police station. I went from I believe the second floor, first floor, and I went to the basement. And it's some pretty interesting stuff I found in that police station here in the FAIRHILL neighborhood, North Philadelphia. So like I said, isn't it ironic how this was the Badlands and there was a police station located in the Badlands? You would think the police station would veer the violence away, or deter or curve the violence, but it really didn't. All right, that's the 57 bus. 57, I rode that many times as a youngster. So this little strip right here on my left and on my right hand side has a lot of Dominican businesses, like Dominican hair salons, barber shops, restaurants. This guy right here was really gonna run that dude over. He was really gonna run the dude over. I used to work at a little pizzeria right here back in my youngster days when I was 17. On my right, it was called Pizza Express. Now it's called Di Napoli. This is Wish Heart in front. So a lot of these are Dominican businesses. I've seen some crazy stuff here on this corner when I used to work out here. Yep, that bus right there, matter of fact, see where that black car on my right's parked at, right behind the bus? There was a lady one time when I was working out here. She swung her door open, the bus was going by, the 57, and boom, took her whole door. Took her door off, yeah. There's been several stabbings, robberies, and shootings, and there was also a gentleman recently, a few months ago, that lost his life on my right-hand side. He was on a skateboard. Somebody drove by on a dirt bike. They hit him. They fell off the bike. Somebody behind him came out. I guess the dirt biker had a vehicle following behind him, maybe a friend. They jumped out. They helped him lift up the bike. The dude got on the bike, left, and they left the young man there to die, and he passed away. So this is another little business district over here, and we're coming